Aloha. That was kind of weak. Look, that was a great breakfast we had out there. I was getting elbowed as folks were coming for seconds and thirds there, you know. They put on by World Fuel, so thanks, World Fuel. Really appreciate it. Great sponsor. But let's try it again. Be fired up here in Hawaii. Yesterday, the panels were just incredible. Just a tremendous discussion, and I'm sure it's going to be even better today. We got an incredible lineup. So let's try it again. Aloha. Aloha. All right, there we go. Well, it's my honor to introduce our next keynote speaker, and I told you we have some amazing keynote speakers, and certainly you're going to see here it continues. They were just terrific yesterday. Admiral Stephen T. Webb Kaler is the commander of the United States Pacific Fleet, critical job, and he'll speak on joint force and multi-domain operations. Admiral Kaler assumed command just in April 4th, pretty recently here, 2024, escaped the Pentagon. I think he was running away, escaping the Pentagon, pretty excited, like getting out of Shawshank prison or something, you know, and great to be out here a long ways away in a critical job. As a commander of Pacific Fleet, he's responsible for all United States Navy forces stationed within Indo-PACOM's area of operations, which we know is half the Earth's surface, including 2 numbered fleets, various subordinate commands with a vast geographic region stretching from the Indian Ocean to the western United States. He previously served as the Director of Strategy, Plans, and Policy, J5, on the Joint Staff. He was also Director of Operations, J3, for Indo-PACOM, Deputy Commander, U.S. Pacific Fleet, and Commander, U.S. 3rd Fleet. So please join me in a warm welcome for Admiral Webb Kaler.
Hey, sir, thanks. Good stuff. All right, well, good morning, everybody, and aloha. All right. Hey, first of all, I think, can you still hear me if I get rid of that in front of my face? Okay, they got me. Fired up to join you all today, more than you know, and for a whole bunch of reasons that we'll get to. So, General Brown, General Flynn, thanks for the invite. Thanks for bringing us together this week here at LandPack. Pretty awesome group as I've just wandered about, and I'm seeing more buddies than I don't know, I expected. Who's the guy in white in here? It's me, and I'm surrounded by the group here, and great to be with you, teammates. Really thankful for the opportunity to deliver a slight address here on multi-domain operations from the naval component perspective. We need everybody here, not to give you the bottom line up front, everybody here needs to be part of this game, and whether that's competition, crisis, or conflict, and ultimately the ability to have deterrence to avoid any of it. That's why I need everybody here. I'm honored to work with you all, and I share your zeal for advancing our all-domain capabilities and joint combined integration. Just so you know, anybody in this room who wants to come by PAC Fleet, you're welcome. We would love to have you there at the headquarters and part of our joint and combined work. I invite you at any time. I want to specifically thank our valued allies and partner chiefs of Army and other distinguished service leaders for making the long trip here to join us for this important event. And I would call out General Walker, who is here from the UK, and I do that, one, because he's a good friend, but also because I think he brought this weather. So anyway, good to see you. Good to see you, my friend. I hope that one of the things you take away from this conference is that we're in this together. It's important for us to take time this week to discuss not only the Army's vision and our joint and combined vision, but that of the Navy, that of Indo-PACOM for the future of the Indo-Pacific. When invited to speak here by General Flynn, I jumped at the chance, and I did so for a couple reasons. One, a very good friend, and we're synchronized in the needs of this theater, so certainly there. I did so for the opportunity to message all of you and anybody listening the need to synchronize all our joint actions and joint effects. And I did so to express to all of you that in any mission, whether conducting competition, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, combat posturing in crisis, or complete conflict, it takes the entire joint and combined team to maximize those joint effects. We all must work together to synchronize our effects in an efficient manner and continue our joint team effort to maximize those effects. If the fight goes down, it will require a team effort with everyone and all of their skills in all domains to succeed. And in an effort to deter, which is what military people do, you know, the person who goes to the fight, if you're a just soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, it's with a tear in your eye. And so the argument of combat credible power in an effort to deter is our job. And I look forward to working that with you in a synchronized, joint, and combined way. That's going to make us prevail. The first and second island chains are no longer simply terrain for land forces to defend. They are now terrain from which land forces, along with those of allies and partners, can project decisive combat power. In the maritime domain, I need Army and Marine Corps teammates to do so, and they've made great progress on it. As the Joint Forces Maritime Commander, I need land-based fires. In the fight, that's what I need. I need those fires to support maritime movement and maneuver in support of sea control, SLOC protection, and logistics support. Land-based fires are a phenomenal SLOC controller. The control of choke points will enable maneuver and movement of any, and certainly my, battle force. To integrate those land fires seamlessly, we must focus on all the joint warfighting functions. Easy to say here with the doctrine that you all have, but we must establish resilient command and control, enable mobile logistics, synchronize joint fires, and coordinate our intelligence protection, movement, and maneuver. Our efforts must integrate seamlessly and allow agile movement and maneuver across all domains. It's a critical requirement for our land and maritime forces to help us avoid operating from any sort of fixed position. Those land-based fires are an absolute imperative for support in the Indo-Pacific. Their integration and synchronization are key as a maritime component commander. As Captain Hughes said in a publication for us in Fleet Tactics and Naval Operations during his time as a professor at the postgraduate school, I quote, "Sea-based forces often must team with land forces that are located in friendly territory. Effective cooperation in joint and combined operations, both operational and tactical, is a modern-day imperative." Our Navy and Marine Corps team is pursuing a variety of these new initiatives, and here's some examples of what we're doing. Last month, DoD awarded a contract for the production of the Navy Marine Expeditionary Ship Interdiction System, or the Nemesis. It's a mobile, ground-based anti-ship weapon system intended to support land-to-sea strikes. It will be fielded by a small Marine Corps team in the littoral environment. Nemesis will contribute to our fleet's ability to achieve sea control, sea denial, and defense against adversarial amphibious forces. At its core, it's a combination of several proven capabilities, and that's why it will be produced and fielded rapidly. The weapon system is already deployed in the Naval Strike Missile, with the anti-ship missile as an existing control system and the chassis on the Joint Light Tactical Vehicle. It exemplifies the flexible procurement policy we are using to acquire what we need rapidly in a security climate that demands timely and quick delivery. So while the Navy Marine Corps team is making innovative advances, it's our Army team that is also making long-range advancements in the land-to-sea power projection in the Indo-Pacific. Whether we're operating in Oceania, in the archipelagic environment of Southeast Asia, responding to natural disaster in one part of the Indo-Pacific while conducting exercises in the other, we need support from the land domain to succeed in our collective goals. So the Army's already driving land-to-sea innovation during competition. I witnessed it with a particular interest in the Army's successful development of the PRISM Increment 2. We see this as a promising force multiplier in the maritime domain, and we expect it to change the way the Army fights in support of us in the Pacific. PRISM is just one example, though. We see many new opportunities in all domain innovations in our joint partners and DoD components. Replicator is one such opportunity, and it's a major one. Along with USERPAC and our other joint partners, PAC Fleet, it fully supports the Replicator initiative that DoD announced last year. It's already breaking down barriers to rapidly field all-domain attritable autonomous systems. In the context of Replicator, it means Platforms that are unmanned, built affordably, allowing commanders to tolerate a higher risk in the employment of them. Just last week, they announced the accelerated fielding of several replicator capabilities. These include uncrewed surface vessels, uncrewed aerial systems, and counter-uncrewed aerial systems of various sizes and payloads, as well as loitering munitions. There is opportunity here. PAC Fleet is continuing to refine the command and control capabilities to enable these sustained combat operations with Replicator's new multi-domain systems. Along with our joint partners, we're drilling into the details of their collaborative employment. Such team efforts include our participation in USAPAC's Concepts Council, which refines tactics, and USAPAC's participation in our replicator operational planning. Make no mistake, no single replicator innovation solves everything during conflict. But our intent is to achieve the maximum aggregate effectiveness from all of our collective capabilities to jumpstart the delivery of these critical ones at scale. It's a critical step in delivering the capabilities we need at scale and speed to continue securing a free and open Indo-Pacific. Its success will depend on the best efforts of our joint all-domain partners working together. As important as ground force support is to the maritime domain, naval sea base support is just important to the land domain. Fielding innovative new capabilities at scale and speed is just one of our joint efforts to advance multi-domain operations. On another front, General Flynn has made great strides in expanding the scope and scale of Operation Pathways, which is their regional approach to campaigning in the region, as you all know. Going forward, PAC Fleet will continue to give large and needed levels of support to Operation Pathways, as we have in 2023 and currently in 2024. And this year, we look forward to Super Garuda Shield, Ulchi Freedom Shield, JPR MRC, among other major commitments. That's deterrent in the region, working together with you all, multi-domain, multi-service, and ensuring we're postured for deterrence. Last year, under Pathways umbrella, we committed major assets to support the largest ever exercise Talisman Sabre. The America Amphibious Readiness Group supported amphibious operations with the Marine Corps in the Coral Sea, along with USS Rafael Peralta and multiple logistical support ships. This exercise included 2 amphibious assaults with multinational participation. Just weeks after completing that, we demonstrated our agility by supporting the largest ever Super Garuda Shield in Indonesia with USS Green Bay and embarked Marines. We also committed our forces last year to new levels of participation at the Joint Pacific Multinational Readiness Center. During JPMRC 24-1 last November, Decatur supported with Tomahawk strike training, joint naval surface fire support, deck landing qualifications with the Army, and also we witnessed the potential of the Army's multi-domain task force in the maritime domain with successful HIMARS live fire in Palau. We now regularly conduct joint fires coordination with the MDTF to achieve massed joint effects in the maritime domain. We are already off to a good start this year in other efforts. In February, we sent USS Somerset and USS Halsey to support the largest ever and most complex exercise, Tiger Triumph, in India. Tiger Triumph, in addition to featuring combined training with our Indian counterparts, focused on interoperability in humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. The Pacific Fleet remains committed as the HADR partner and enabler in the Indo-Pacific. We have demonstrated this with our continued support to allies and partners, and in last year, volcanic eruptions in Papua New Guinea, as they displaced numerous communities and cut off access to food and water, we were there. This occurred right after Talisman Sabre, as you remember, and we diverted USS America, one of the most powerful assets we have, from her planned port visit to support those efforts. Our carrier strike groups are always on call in the Indo-Pacific to support the HADR effort. In May 23, Super Typhoon Mawar made landfall on Guam. The strongest storm to hit Guam in 22 years, it caused widespread destruction. The diversion of the Nimitz Strike Group to assist arrived near Guam within days, along with providing all of the standard HADR assistance with her air wing. She also served as a communications and radio transmission hub for local authorities. In addition to the HADR response, we have our long-standing Pacific Partnership after the 2004 mission. We founded the Pacific Partnership after the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami to assist our partners in building their disaster response capabilities. And we have renewed commitment every year since. These include subject matter expert exchanges, community relations projects, disaster response workshops, search and rescue training, and we ask our amphibious ships to support Pacific Partnerships as often as possible to bolster our HADR efforts in the Pacific. While we field new capabilities rapidly to improve and continually train to operate together, it's important to recognize efforts of advanced multi-domain operations. And all we have to do is to look to Ukraine to see that. And while we're in the Pacific here, the lessons out of Ukraine are mightily important as we absorb them into multi-domain operations that we need here. The Ukrainian advantage is that they've been fast to adapt to multi-domain operations. The Ukrainians have demonstrated their ability to integrate land, sea, air, space, cyber, and information to achieve massed effects. We've seen that with integration of unmanned systems with legacy systems to hold the Black Sea Fleet and its military ports at risk, forcing operations further from Ukraine. Their effective use of unmanned systems against an entire fleet is revolutionary in the development of warfare. The space domain has also contributed to operations in Ukraine in transformative ways, particularly in providing overhead imagery for intelligence. These lessons are important for us to learn as we improve our interoperability during our joint and multinational exercises. Along these lines, it's not enough to simply possess these capabilities. They must be well maintained, the crew must be well trained, the tactics must be well practiced, and we must be well integrated amongst all our forces to ensure that it is messaged at the right time. This brings me back to why we train and operate together and why we are all here together. Throughout the Indo-Pacific, the Pacific Fleet is blessed with a strong network of allies and partners who honor us with their attendance today. Our allies and partnerships are the unbreakable bedrock of international security. The stronger that bedrock becomes, the more we will achieve its desired effect. Our collective work from HADR training to war games to complex exercises and operations all build deterrence and enhance our force posture. In that light, I encourage everyone in the audience who is able to support USERPAC's Unified Pacific War Game Series. Unified Pacific allows USERPAC to identify strengths and gaps and assess our posture and make us better. It's a joint campaign of learning that allows us to get better year after year and improve our joint plans. It's a capability builder, operations and tactics test, and a huge deterrent effect. As mentioned before, deterrence in the Indo-Pacific is a team effort, and I'm looking at the team. It takes all of us to maintain a safe, stable, and secure Indo-Pacific. We've maintained that relative peace for almost 80 years due to the willingness of like-minded partners to work together and maintain credible combat power. All of us have a choice to make and a role to play in maintaining a rule-based global order. I couldn't be more impressed with the progress we've made together in accomplishing that mission. Together, we will continue to seize the initiative and maintain it in the Indo-Pacific. To prevail, we will continue to innovate, refine our joint and combined capabilities and integration, and ensure regional stability through persistent joint and combined operations. PAC Fleet is synchronized with all the joint components and the whole combined group here. I'm fired up to work with all of you, and that is from the bottom of my heart and the joy to be here. So thank you very much. Let's get after it. Mahalo. And so I think with that, I'm ready to take it. If you got any questions of a guy in white, I'd be more than happy to talk fleet tactics, but more than happy to take any questions if anybody has any.
Sir, while the audience thinks of some questions, I do have one for you, if that's okay. What are your thoughts on the future of multi-domain operations?
Well, I think first of all, I think the future is here on multi-domain operations. If you want to mass fires and mass effects, it is about the synchronization of all of those domains. And it's pretty simple for us to sit there and go, well, I've got the air and ground domain, and I can do that, synchronize with the Navy side, and we'll try to mass effects. You've got to be able to have a couple things. One, space and cyber, not only for the operational effect it has, but the enablement of maneuver to allow those effects to mass. Important on all of that is the information work that has to be done along the synchronization effect. You know, the military sometimes is really good at activity, and we think of a bunch of things that we can get done, and then we work a messaging sense around it. We all know, turn it on the head, at some level of deterrence or combat effect, you are trying to work to the cognitive domain of your adversary. And so building the desired cognitive effect that you want with then multi-domain effects, whether it be in crisis, competition, or conflict, that are masked at the point of need to drive the message is where it is. And I would say the future is right now. So if you feel behind on synchronizing and putting multi-domain effects together, that's good. You need to feel behind. We need to get better and better at it. I do think we're better than we think, but there is massive room for improvement.
Hey, Admiral, again, great to see you.
Good to see you, sir.
Webb, really, it's been a powerful briefing. General Flynn, I think we need to give Webb an honorary set of OCPs. I mean, when he's talking about land forces, and particularly with land-based fires, you reinforce that multiple times. Admiral, you also mentioned some of the lessons learned from Ukraine. Fluor Corporation, we had an opportunity to go into Kyiv a couple months ago, talking to the ministries there, certainly our own embassy, and it talked a little bit about the Black Sea and the challenges and choke points that you highlighted as well, and the use of land-based fires, the use of precision missiles in support of that, and really getting after the Russian threat. You mentioned that as well, but you also kind of highlight a little bit about lessons learned. If you could reinforce some of those other lessons learned and how you see that across the Indo-PACOM AOR from your perspective.
Great question, sir, and great to see you again. So I would say a couple things. First of all, the lesson learned, I think, as mentioned quickly in the talk, is the multi-domain effects are required. And they're required because, you know, the enemy gets a vote, right? And so they're going to adjust as well. The other thing is maneuver will also be restricted at some points, right? Access into the Black Sea is a difficult piece right now. So the land-based fires are then supporting to the maritime. If you had that opportunity to then open up those slots, and there's other political things and stuff's involved there, but if you want to have flexibility in the ability to mass effects, that's the point of having everybody in the game, right? And so two things I would say on the lessons learned. One is that a lot of times the multi-domain piece are enablers to then for a follow-on either maneuver or effect, which is obviously within doctrine, but we really have to think about that just to be able to get in there and fire to then maneuver to then fire again is within doctrine. It is now combined in the space, cyber, and unmanned world, right, in this sort of multi-domain game. So I think that's one. The second thing, as mentioned, is that you have to have flexibility of fires and to get after any sort of enemy, because they're going to adjust to you too. And if we're going to operate inside of their decision cycle, we've got to have the flexibility of all different ways to get after it. And the Black Sea is a perfect example.
Sir, Ken Kreitzer, CamVets Media, White Plains, New York. Thank you for your service. I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned lessons learned from Ukraine. What was learned in your observations of the defense of the attack of the missiles from Iran in mid-April, 300 missiles, most of which were all shot down. You have a significant threat from North Korea. What's your observation and thoughts on your preparedness?
So I tell you, the biggest thing I would say on that, we certainly at the senior level, and you get into forums like this, we spend a lot of time looking at the problem set, right? We run to problems and we can be concentrated on massive, we're deficient here, we're working this. What I take out specifically out of those two vignettes that you met is our teammates need to understand that they can operate with confidence. The bottom line is the array of defense there that supported that piece worked, and it worked very well. And it worked well because we have the ability to synchronize across combined and joint forces, right? So this is not a simple piece that's just happening and go, I've got one guy who's got his things arrayed. This is across the whole joint force and across the combined force synchronized together. And if you can't go forward with the confidence there, then I think you're not looking at it strong enough. It doesn't mean we're not going to continue to try to get better. We always have to improve our fighting position, right? All the time. But I'm confident, as you should be, that we're ready to go. And that's what I take the biggest piece out of those two things. And our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians should take the same feeling.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
This is Al Lord from the Army War College. A lot of interest these days on the concept of protracted war. What if it doesn't end like a lot of us think it will? And how do we consider issues, concepts going out beyond a short, sharp war phase?
Yeah, great question. I would say from a couple things. First of all is our posture for all of it in an effort to deter a short or protracted is the point here. Combat credibility and the willingness to use it. That's one. The second piece, though, when you get to the protracted side, it's understanding the defense industrial base and their ability to work through that and increase its capacity to enable combat capability to push forward in the protracted side, I think is very important.
Back down.
We need to have resiliency of our teammates, right? So across the joint and combined force, we all want to go to a short, unfair fight and have it over and bring people home. What we know in warfare is it never goes as planned, and so the planning on the protraction side, from a resiliency side of our force, the defense industrial base to continue to work through that, and then I would also say across all of the implements of national power, those have to be engaged from the beginning. Right, so there is certainly the military side, which is our responsibility, and that's hitting the sharp instrument with a sharp hammer. There is then the diplomatic, economic, and certainly the informational side that we have got to make sure is postured for it as well, and starts from the beginning in an effort to, one, keep it as short as possible, two, be prepared for the protracted side. I think the industrial base has to continue to be buoyed up and be postured for that piece.
Good morning, sir. This is Celia Powell from DODIG. If you could briefly just talk to us about the importance of readiness when it comes to interoperability with our allies and partners when we're doing trainings and exercises. Thank you.
So thanks, great question. I would tell you that when we have the combined effect, and I say the word combined on purpose, and the joint effect here, that's what brings power to our overarching like-mindedness. If you want to be ready to go, those things have to be trained to and worked on beforehand. And so forums like this, integration and competition exercises, even HADR things that enable common infrastructure to either determine that, hey, we're in a good place, or we have to continue to work on it, to enable that interoperability, vitally important. And that's where I think General Flynn in the USERPAC side works on all of these engagements, and bringing in then all of our joint side will help with that, and it's going to be a continual effort, right? We're not going to get to a point where we're just set. What we're going to find is we're always improving our position. We're always finding the gaps and C's between those things. We have to make sure that as a combined and joint team, we're ready to do that and execute at a higher level than we're executing now. And you sit there and go, well, when's high enough? It's never high enough. You know, we're going to get to this place where everybody's completely interoperable, and you go, yeah, well, then we're going to improve it, and we're going to get it better. Okay?
Sir, thank you for joining us. Great discussion. Please help me give Admiral
Hey, thanks,
Kaler a
everybody.
big round of applause.
Thanks so much, sir.